in honor and goofiness and play, which they do. Look at this wolf. Luna, the sun and the moon and the wolf. Beautiful. Bought at wildspiritwolfsanctuary.org, who is one of the non-profit foundations that we support on our trips with spirit travel. You can actually, one of the few places in the world where you can go in and play with wolves. Unbelievable. We've done about 5 or 6 trips so far. We usually have 4 or 5. The largest group so far, about 10 people. We're going to keep it at 12 or less. But in honor of the wolfies, there we go. A little bit of howling. Isn't he beautiful? Love it. But that's not the topic today. The topic is much more controversial than howling and loving nature and communing with wolves. The topic is about who the angels are, who the angels really are, not what you've been told. Not what you've been told. A lot of what we've been told is true, but there's huge missing gaps of what the angels and who the angels really are. We're not all the same spirits. Now, people are going to ask, what's my authority? Where does it come from? And this is direct experience, asking God, Spirit directly, living in India, working with medicine men in the Amazon, here in the Southwest, studying yoga, direct revelation, sacred teachings that really have to do with esoteric Kundalini awakening practices. Once you awaken your Kundalini and you awaken your inner talents, those parts that we all have, things happen overnight at times, like learning to read the Akashic records. That's where this information comes from. For the last 15 years, the information I've been receiving, and the way you do that, you are a receiver. When you attune your heart, which is really just feeling your heart. Turn on your heart light, like E.T. says, yeah? But feeling your heart. One a simple way to do that is to go back and feel something, and somewhere you had your cup runneth over. In Sanctuary for Souls, which is part of our wilderness adventures, we do a seminar called Sanctuary for Souls, and we also do it once a week here in Arizona for a group of us. And I take it on the road. We were in Austin and Norman, Oklahoma, been to New York, Massachusetts, LA, San Francisco, Seattle. So Sanctuary for Souls is an amazing awakening experience. There's teaching, there's mental teaching or understanding. The word understanding means to stand under the real truth. Oh, look at that symbol I just made. Now some people are going to think there's something devilish with this, which, by the way, this original sign, do you know that this original sign means protection? It's protection. As usual, things are flipped backwards. And the horned god, Cernunnos or Pan, is really the most loving. And there's been a battle between these natural gods. Pan is a real being. I've met him. There's a woman right now in Michigan who has met him physically. She grows a garden in her backyard. Findhorn, they spoke with Pan. Pan is a real god, is a being different than human beings, who in a sense is the male earth god. And this information's coming at you from different angles because we're trying to reach behind your conscious and reach to a place of awakening. That's what the Course of Awakening is about. So there's been a schism, a battle between the natural gods, the Celtic gods, Avalon, the Vikings, the natives, the Incas, the Hopis, the shamans of Africa, the Aborigines, the Korean shamans. And just by the way, there's a tendency now to want to worship or accept blindly everything because it's native or indigenous. This is the same danger that we've done with the old religions that you swallow it whole without deciding this is not healthy and this is. Like the wise ant, you take some salt and sugar that looks exactly the same to the human mind, or you can take sugar and white sand that looks exactly the same. The wise ant picks out the sweetness of the teaching, the truth, if you will, and leaves the hard, that which is undigestible or not good for it, behind. That's what we need to do as well. So just because it's shamanic drumming and this and that, or Amazon ayahuasca journeys, doesn't mean there's not nasty soul control crap going on. You have to really be vigilant and discriminating. The too happy swallow it whole, you're going to swallow some nasty spirits, some nasty control spirits. Every shaman worth his salt, so to speak, shamaness knows that a lot of that world involves spirits that are unhealthy. And that brings us back to the topic. Angels. Just because they are labeled light or angelic doesn't mean that they're healthy or loving. This is a huge misunderstanding in a lot of spiritual circles still. Because you say light or angels of light, we assume, or the assumption is that that's good. And I remember years ago, a woman I knew, God bless her innocent heart, would just call on the white light. And I asked in my heart, God, show me what's going on. And rather than asking for white light or just light, ask for loving light, if that's what you want. There's a free will universe here. If you want to play with power light, there's a lot of light out there, a lot of intelligence. Hitler was very, very powerfully filled with a light. So are many other teachers, whether in the Tibetan world, the Hindu world, the Buddhist world, shaman world, Christian world, Muslim world, Aborigines world, Native American world. There's a lot of unholy, unhealed, not the oneness. Holy means whole, one. Holos, Greek, complete, whole. There's a lot of light that is not of love. And this has been a spiritual misunderstanding on the earth. So not all light, just because it presents as bright, means it's healthy or loving. Your dog knows instantly, is that a loving light? Very, very bright, powerful people can bring an excitement. There's exhilaration, like a roller coaster ride. Your speed, light. Now I know I'm going to mention this and it's taboo in many spiritual circles, but Lucifer is a real being. And yes, in the big picture it's all God, it's all good. The black Buddha versus the white Buddha. It's all good, sure. It's all the yin and yang, black and white. But when you see with clarity, true masters have no judgment. Jesus doesn't have a judgment. Babaji, Yogananda, Sai Baba, true masters, Ramana Maharshi, others, they can see and deal with Shiva's army, the quote, dark side, and not be affected by it. But if you wander in where angels fear to tread, you're liable to get some harsh wake-up calls. And most of us on the planet that are spiritually large souls, and this is going to be some spiritual incorrectness and some political incorrectness going hand in hand. And believe me, the spiritual incorrectness is a much tighter control than even political incorrectness. But all angels are not good.